Hello once again and welcome to a special Europa League final prediction show with myself, Matthew Crist from the panel, and Brian McClair, a four-time Premier League winner, but also a man who was part of Alex Ferguson's first European trophy-winning team in English football when his Manchester United side lifted the European Cup Winners' Cup final in Rotterdam in 1991 after beating Barcelona. So fond memories, I'm sure, of that night, Brian.
Oh, yeah, amazing. The most pertinent memory was walking out for the warm-up, and it was typical Manchester weather in the Netherlands that night. It was raining, but not raining really heavily, and it appeared that the majority of the crowd were United followers, United fans. Customers, as they're called now, and it gave us a great lift to see that with all the flags and the exuberance and the singing.
Yeah, and it was obviously a key moment for the team. The club were turning a corner. They hadn't won the league for a long time. Ferguson was just getting his feet under the table, and to win a European trophy made a big difference to the club, who then went on a couple of years later to win the Premier League and never looked back after that.
Well, he's always said that winning is a habit, and a habit that he is particularly liked, and it was something that's been drummed into all of his players, and since he became a manager, right back in the very early days when he was at East Stirling. Um, Once you win the first trophy and you enjoy it so much, you want to continue to have that experience, and it's the best part about team games, winning things together.
Mm. Well, I mean, there are some similarities with the Manchester United team this season.
Yeah.
Not doing, your team weren't doing as badly as this group of
Well, I
players.
mean, the one thing that is, then that year of the or the year before, sorry, around about that time, we actually went 11 games without a win.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, maybe we didn't have as many defeats in those 11 games, but I think this present group of players are up to 9, I think.
Yeah.
So there's a possibility of them equaling that in all competitions. Uh,
Well, it's a team that is often referred to when we're talking about United
yeah,
this season, that 89-90 team that.
I think it's there can be parallels with that because it is our league form was pretty atrocious, and but unlike this particular campaign, there was a point where we could have got dragged into a relegation battle, which would have been a massive problem for us, considering the injuries that took quite a lot of key players then. Um, and it was an incredible kind of away victory at Millwall that gave us the kind of breathing space and then kind of impetus to finish with enough points to not being involved in that. It would have been a real tough thing, unlike the present campaign where the bottom three teams have done their very best for Manchester United, Spurs and West Ham.
Yeah, I mean, bringing it up to date, another disappointing result against West Ham recently. It's the age-old question, but just how big a game is this for Amorim and Manchester United?
Well, everybody's emphasis is on this game, and Amarin has suggested that there's a different atmosphere around the players and the staff when it's come to the European games, for whatever reason, and maybe the similar thing when on that FA Cup run back in 1989-90, and the figures that I mentioned with regards to success in the game are huge and could make the difference between Amarin being successful at Manchester United or, as he had mentioned in his press conference the other day, the board will make the decision to change.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, in terms of the game itself, a fascinating game between two teams that have struggled domestically but have got to a European final. So, I mean, what matchups on the pitch do you see being the fascinating?
Well, for me, I think the first thing is with regards to Manchester United is what team do you pick? Um, and I've been spending a little bit of time considering my idea of what you should be looking at with regards to giving yourself the best opportunity to success. Manchester United's injuries are nearly all defenders, with De Ligt, Euro, Dalot, all. Well, we're waiting to see whether they're going to be available or not. For me, I would, if they're not, I know there's talking about light training and various different things. They may well be have been brought out of the treatment room just for the press, and maybe it's Amarim playing some mind games with regards to who might be available for him to select. But for me at the moment, I think you just have to pick the players that are fit. And play them in the positions that have been playing. So I'd be looking at Onana in goals, back three of Mazarawi, Lindelof, Maguire, Dorgu and Shaw, and then Ugarte, Casemiro. Then he's got a consideration to do. You've got Højlund and Garnacho. I think I would plump for Mena in midfield and let Fernandes be what he has been the best at in all the Premier League teams this year, is creating chances, and the best way to create chances is to be as forward as possible. So I think I maybe consider him in playing a bit towards the left or right, where he can. He doesn't stay in one particular place anyway, but it can cause several problems, I think, for Spurs by being difficult to pick up.
Mm. But I mean, you mentioned Onana there. That was going to be one of my other questions to you. There's been questions about him this season. He's had his troubles. He has been dropped in the past, but you see him as number one for this final, do you?
Well, I think that Amarin didn't say he was dropped. He said he was giving them a mental rest, which lasted for one game. Yeah, I wouldn't say that they're particularly strong in that department, but I think Onana will play because of his probably has more confidence and ability with the ball at his feet.
Mm. As tough as it's been for United fans over the years, they have picked up trophies, believe it or not. You wouldn't think so, having watched them this season. But do you think that puts them in good stead against a Tottenham team who've got this albatross around their neck about winning something finally? So do you think it gives them an advantage?
I think there's a slight advantage in that there's a few players that are playing for Manchester United that have played in the FA Cup final win, so they know what it's like to win and what it takes to win. Sometimes you can, and I think it's happened with both Spurs and Manchester United this season in this particular competition, where and Amarin alluded to that the other day as well, is maybe not playing as well as you can, but still managing to find a way of winning. And I think that'll be what will happen on Wednesday. One of these teams will find a way of winning, because neither of them are going to be have their strongest team with regards to going back to when the competition started, what you would expect with the players that would be available to both coaches.
Yeah, I mean, they both struggle domestically, especially defensively as well. I was just thinking, as a former striker yourself, a man who bagged goals for fun, I guess those teams will be looking at this and licking their chops, aren't they? Thinking that they can create some havoc in the other team's box.
Well, that's why I think that United will go for the players that are fitter. You know, there's always an argument and an opinion about which players will be better. You know, is Lindelof a better player than Euro and De Ligt? It really depends on who you're talking about. But if neither De Ligt nor Euro are at almost total fitness, then I don't see how that he can risk. He may well do, but I don't see. Whereas knowing that these players have been out and hadn't trained as a forward, you would be more confident of playing against De Ligt and Euro and Dalot also than you would against players you know who are fit, fully fit, maybe not in great form, but fully fit.
I mean, obviously, a place in the Champions League awaits the winner. If United do win this tournament, and I suppose Tottenham as well, do you think they'd be worthy competitors in what is Europe's elite competition?
Well, I think the way that the competition is now set up with the number of teams in it and the opportunities of playing teams at various different levels. You've got 4 home games, 4 away games. But yeah, if you get that kind of, I think you're talking £100 million plus if you qualify for the Champions League, depending on how far you can go in the competition. I think there's 2 parts to it. One, it gives you clearly a few more pounds to put into any kind of transfer kitty, but players want to play in the Champions League. So if Manchester United are interested in Delap from Ipswich, for example, and Arsenal are also interested in, I would have thought that he would choose at the present time to play in the Champions League, or whatever team that may be. If he's got a couple of choices, then it may become a bit more difficult. But players do want to play in the Champions League. Players will always come to Manchester United, as indeed they will always go to Tottenham Hotspur too, because of their names and their history.
Yeah, I mean, let's not forget there's a trophy up for grabs at the end of this,
Yeah,
and
that's yeah. I mean,
you
there was kind of perplexing, really, in the way that Manchester United have announced that if they're successful, that they're not going to have an open top bus tour through Manchester, but they're going to have a barbecue, which I can't get my head around, because what popped into my mind was that when I was coaching at United under Alex Ferguson, he brought in the League Cup trophy one year into the canteen and got some champagne out and got all the staff from Carrington into the canteen. And they, someone long-standing member of his staff mentioned to somebody else, which he overheard, saying, "What's this all about?" And then Fergie just gave us all a hairdryer to say that, and the point was that you celebrate every win. You know, maybe won in that point Champions League. Of course, they'd won several Premier Leagues, FA Cups, but the League Cup was still something to celebrate. Winning trophies should be celebrated, and it was a proper hairdryer. You know, it wasn't. We're all, you know, and he just kind of, and then he went out because he was that angry and the fact that, you know, so we all got the message. So all of those people, you know, got the message that it doesn't matter, you know, whether it's an FA Cup, whether it's a Community Shield. Manchester United have always celebrated wins. And if they do win, it'd be a shame if they've decided not to have an open bus tour because it's one of the best things ever. And you forget everything else. You've won a trophy. The season's gone. It's celebrate. That's what's all part. You know, celebrate with the people that are most important, which are the supporters, so the players and the supporters mainly. I know there's like 2 or 3 different coaches now, other people on it. It's about the players and the supporters, and there would be. It just seems that the people who are running Manchester United at the moment are surrounding themselves with people that are being very good at making bad decisions.
Well, on that note, I'm just thinking how much this cup run has taken the pressure off Amorim. I mean, had they been knocked out of this competition, which they could have easily been, could have happened, as we know, I'm guessing the pressure would have been ramped up on him significantly.
Maybe, but I think that they've decided all along that the way that things maybe have gone with regards to the fitness and health of the players, maybe some other factors as well that might haven't been made public, that they've chosen him. They've chosen him. They didn't choose Ten Hag, but they've chosen him to be their coach, and they're going to give him as much time as they feel is necessary for him to get it right. Winning and having more funds and more prestige with regards to competitions played in. But I don't think that they'll make a change if they're not successful on Wednesday. They have to they back them for at least this transfer window to see if they can improve, which shouldn't be that difficult.
Yeah, but you say that, but then again, after the West Ham game, Ruben Amorim made some sort of cryptic comments about how if they start the season badly next year or next campaign, then the club might well make a change. What did you make of that?
Well, he is very candid in his press conferences. Something he didn't retract, but tried to explain in the Europa League press conference the other day. I think he's only stating what the facts may be for him. Hopefully, he will be given an opportunity to. There's two parts to part. The nice part of it, you have more funds available, and as we mentioned, the attraction of playing in Champions League football next season, and therefore you'll be looking to recruit players that will suit what the objectives are with regards to the European competition. If they don't do that, we're not in Europe next year. It may well be a next plan about which players they're going to recruit, and the objective next season has to be qualifying for Europe. I'm not saying it'll be Champions League football, because we can see with the number of teams that are looking to get into it this season but there'll need to be a big change for Amarin. But you need to give him that opportunity. Otherwise, you're bringing in someone else who then again evaluates all the players that are there and has his own idea of what particular targets and what way to play. I mean, Amarin's stuck steadfastly to the system because that's what he believes in. I would have thought he would continue to do that, but only if he gets the players that he thinks are perhaps more capable than the ones that are available now to perform in that system. But if he doesn't, he's going to have to look to change things, because I think we've got one great example of that in the Premier League this year. I'm not saying it would have made a huge amount of difference because it still got relegated, but Southampton just stuck to their idea of how they wanted to play all the way through, and they didn't get the result. So I think when you've got to look at ways of winning games, and it may be that you have to change your what you think is the ideal system. If you've only got certain players available, you have to play, for me, them in a system that is going to bring out the best out of them. And he's paid to win games, and that's what he should be trying to do.
Yeah. You mentioned United in the transfer market. I think we all expect them to spend big. Again, they always do, but with the new manager, they're going to back him. I mean, are there any positions for you that you think need addressing?
Oh, that's just the question we could sit here all day talking about, isn't it? If you look at the performances of, I quite liked, I do like, I remember again Alex Ferguson saying to me that Paul Scholes as a player was the best at making a judgment on any other opposition players, and he suggested that the spine of the team, goalkeeper, centre backs, central midfield, and as we've alluded to several times, in order to be successful, particularly in domestic football, you need somebody who regularly scores goals. That's for teams that do that, have got at least one player, sometimes if fortunate to have more than one, as Liverpool have had over the last couple of years. But you need someone who can get you certainly double figures, if not towards 20 league goals, in order to be successful. And they do not have one of them. You've got players that are giving you plenty of effort, but there's scoring goals. It's not a last minute throwing yourself into the penalty box. Goal scorers are in the penalty box anticipating, and it's a tap in, like a bit like Hoyland's last goal, which was a messy goal, but he's in the 6-yard box. So you need somebody, as Bobby Gould once said, you need a 6-box yard merchant.
Well, you mentioned a striker there, 20-goal man, which you were, of course, when you signed for United in under Alex Ferguson, 87-88, scored 20 league goals for the first time in 20 years. United have been linked with Liam Delap, who's impressed Ipswich despite their relegation. Is he a player that you could see slotting in and fulfilling that role?
Well, yeah, because he's someone who's scored goals in double figures, Premier League goals for a team that's got relegated. and not only that, his performances have been of real quality. And then you've got the situation where uh, him and his advisors have had, and Ipswich agreed, because I think that was the only way that he was going to sign for Ipswich, to have a clause in the contract that would allow him to leave for a fee that, in Premier League terms, and certainly maybe even uh, plenty of other places in Europe, I think it's 30 million, around about 30 million, is a bargain for someone. Whether he fancies going to Manchester United or not, I'm not seeing many comments that he's that keen on that. But who knows, until maybe that's something that might be. It would be someone I think they should be looking to recruit anyway, because at that price and the potential of scoring a number of goals and creating not only opportunities for other players, but he's a player that can create chances for himself, which I don't think Manchester United have got as a forward.
Well, you mentioned Rasmus Højlund there, and he's a player that's got potential. He's brought in for his ability to score goals. It hasn't quite worked out. I mean, have you got
Yeah,
faith
but
in
there
the
was
fact?
no evidence of any ability to score goals.
Well,
If you look at his, that potential of this potential, there wasn't any evidence to say that he was going to score goals. So I don't know. I mean, he's a player that gives his all in every game, and he does the very best he can. But it's not just down to him. I know that Bruno Fernandes has created more chances than any other player in the Premier League this season. But there's all sorts of different types of forwards, and I don't think Rasmus Højlund is a goal scorer. Same way that I don't think that previous players that have been played up front for Manchester United have been goal scorers.
okay. Talking of fan favourites, and certainly a favourite of yours, I just wanted to talk to you about Scott McTominay, who's had a fantastic season in Italy since leaving United, joining Napoli, and he seems to have taken to Italian football brilliantly. He's on the battling out for a championship title. Is he a player that you'd like to see back in the Premier League one day? Maybe not for United, I doubt, but you still think he's got plenty to offer?
Well, it's one of those that I read a very good article during the week, and it appeared that the decision to leave Manchester United was a mutual one. Uh, the benefit that Scott's had is when you go somewhere and the coach actually wants you. So there's been no evidence that the last two coaches at Manchester United have seen Scott as the first choice, one of the first picks. Whereas in Conte's done a couple of things. He's made it clear that he's going to be playing, and he's played him a lot further forward, which has given Napoli double figures. I think he scored 11 goals, I think, in Serie A, which is more goals than any other British player, and even Dennis Law couldn't manage to score as many as that. He's played a lot further forward, and that's resulted in Napoli sitting at the top of the league, although after getting a bit of space between themselves and Internazionale, there's now only 2 points between them with a couple of games left. But he's done wonderfully well, and I've always felt he would be a player, not because we share a birthday, because he's got great belief in himself, and he looks after himself. And one of the other things that's clearly been a delight for many people is he's discovered a love of tomatoes, which is a huge thing in Napoli.
Yeah, well, on that note then, so you're not expecting him to return back to these shores anytime soon unless he can find some decent tomatoes?
That's exactly right, yeah. But he's going to be playing in the Champions League next season for Napoli. Why would he, unless it's going to one of the clubs who perhaps will qualify, which we'll find out very soon for the Champions League. And I think that the fee will be an awful lot more than what Napoli paid for him.
Mm. Okay, well, we've picked the bones out of the Europa League final. We've looked at United's season, such as it's been. We obviously do our Premier League predictions every week. We have done all through the season. I can't let you go, Brian, without us getting your prediction for the final between Manchester United and Tottenham.
Uh, I think that Manchester United, for all of the things you alluded to. Will win the game. 2-1 would probably be the result. Yeah, 2-1 to Manchester United. Don't ask me who's going to score.
Don't worry, I wasn't going to. Okay, that brings us to the end of this special Europa League final edition of our prediction show. We'll see if Brian's right once again this season, as he has been throughout the campaign, and we'll see you again very soon. Goodbye for now.